Hey, hey, how's it going? Hard Talk Radio, your host, MrDeadman, and with us tonight is Craig Sawyer. How's it going, man? You doing all right?
Right. Hey, what's up, man? You kind of went out a little bit. I see that that diet is working out for you.
Oh,
You're
thank
looking
you.
a little better than.
Yeah, yeah. See, it started with a water fast. I was like, I gotta lose weight. I gotta lose weight fast. My wife said a water fast is absolutely retarded. I was like, no, this is gonna work. And look, man, I lost the fat on my
Yeah,
face. I lost the double chin and all that stuff.
but your hands still look good though. Like your hands look really good though.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
so
yeah. I don't know how that all worked out, but anyway, this is, of course, the show's broadcast live from the deep in the heart of Meth County, Texas. Let's see. As far as announcements go, one thing I definitely want to say is if you haven't checked out this book called "The Journal of Cinnamon Page: Undeath by Chocolate," definitely do so. I'm gonna put the link to that in the chat there. Definitely check out this book if you like the sort of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sabrina the Teenage Witch sort of like characters. You know, like the tough chick that's smart ass. She can handle her own. You know, she don't take no shit from anybody. Witty, that sort of thing. Then you're gonna like this. You're definitely gonna like it. So there you go. The link is in the chat there. It's called The Journal of Cinnamon Page: Undeath by Chocolate. The cover's by Damascus Mincemeyer. Great guy. I don't know what happened. I think he disappeared off Twitter. Hope all is well. Hope for the best. But definitely check out this book. Anyway, with that out of the way, all right, Craig. Ask. Well, it's St. Patty's Day first. Before we get into it, do you have some whiskey?
I haven't gotten to the whiskey yet, but I do have a cold beverage in my hand. So as I hope everybody out in Horror Nation does right now too as well. So
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pour me some Jameson in my glass, and here we go. So, Craig, who are you, and what do you do?
that's a deep question, man.
It is.
Who am I? Who am I? Well, I am a jack of all trades. I'm a writer. I've done some acting and filmmaking. I have a board game company that we launched a Kickstarter for a board game a couple of years ago, and it did really well. We sold out. We're going back to Kickstarter, and I've been writing comic books lately, as brought me to you, but
Okay.
which is a sci-fi comic, Mars City Vice. But I am a huge, massive horror fan.
Yeah. See, that's what.
From way back, and usually a lot of my writing goes that way. So
Yeah, and that's what I noticed. You're a huge horror fan. I saw your comic. Yeah, it's sci-fi, but that stuff is pretty cool with me. So I was like, I gotta talk with this guy. And that comic is called Mars City Vice. Is that right? Was it
yeah,
Mars? Yeah.
imagine if sci-fi in the '80s was rad, man. So was horror, and in these genres, they they mingle, too. There's a lot of horror elements in this. Like I pulled from Aliens and Terminator and Life Force. It's an old B movie from the '80s,
Mm-hmm.
and plus, imagine if Philip K. Dick, who wrote Blade Runner and Total Recall,
Yeah.
imagine if he wrote a season of an '80s action series like Miami Vice. So it's like, you're in a fake '80s Miami on Mars in 2089, and there's aliens and there's real crime on Mars. So it's like it's kind of a action cop drama mixed with everything '80s and sci-fi, basically.
Hey, that's pretty cool. You get to combine that element there of being sci-fi, and also the sort of like synthwave '80s appeal. I mean, there's something about that really draws people in. It draws me in for sure. I mean, I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is a comic I definitely need to check out. So, and let me put the artwork here on the screen for those who haven't seen this. I definitely would. This is the image. I think this is for the second book, and it has an Indiegogo campaign, right? It just succeeded. It just reached its goal, right?
Well, we went over our goal. We still have another, I think, 3 weeks left, but we're
Oh
almost like
man.
a little over 1,000.
Okay.
So yeah, it's doing pretty good.
Okay. I mean, I gotta say, man, this art looks really good. I mean, it looks impressive to me. Shit, you did that by yourself?
Well, no, man. It takes a lot of. There's a lot of people on this board, this ship, this comic ship. So we have uh, David Dion, he's from South American artist. He does the interiors. He did the cover of issue 1. We got James G. Brown, who does colors for G.I. Joe for IDW right now. Because the colors for this were so important, man, because you want to capture that Miami Vice palette, Miami in the 80s, the pastels, the aquas and stuff like that. So it's on the top of the comic. It looks very bright, action oriented, but underneath it, there's a psychological, dark story.
Yeah, you get that dark.
But we got James
stuff.
G. Brown, David Dion. Oh yeah, we have Sandro Ribeiro doing inks, and the new cover that you're talking about is by a guy named Nitho Diaz, who is also a cover artist for GI Joe for IDW. So I'm just stealing all of IDW's artists. So basically, but it's a pro book.
So did you do the art in the book, or did you do the story in the book?
No, I co-created with a guy named Chris Webb, and I write the book. So we're alternating. We write some together, and then we write some apart from each other. Okay. And this arc is going to be 5 issues. So we're 2 issues, going to be 2 issues down in a 5 arc storyline.
Okay, that's cool.
So, and it's going to get darker and crazier. And the lead character. So it's Boone and Baths are the 2 detectives.
All right.
Crockett and Tubbs. Boone. Baths. Yeah. One's a cat. So Bath's a cat. He's a Maladakian.
So the black dude's a cat man.
He's a cat man.
He's a cat man. Right.
So I always thought that the guy who played Tubbs in the old Miami Vice series, Philip Michael Thomas, I always thought that he had like a cat presence to him. He was always very cool and very graceful. Yeah. And I thought, that's his essence, kind of a cat guy. Okay. And so there's a criminal kingpin that named Hadrian that these 2 guys are looking for independently for their own reasons. Bath's sister has been kidnapped by this criminal overlord, and then Boone is betrayed by his own police force on the moon, and they actually encounter each other for a brief moment, don't get along, and they end up being partners together on Mars it goes. And this criminal mastermind Hadrian is using the blood of these Maladakian cat people as to create a drug called Cat's Eye.
Cat's Eye. Okay, what does that do?
So Cat's Eye, it revitalizes your DNA. It makes you feel like that you're invincible. It actually adds age onto your lifespan because these cat people actually have 9 lives.
So it's like math.
Yeah, basically. But it makes longevity. It makes your life, makes you live longer.
Oh, so it reduces your age. Oh, okay.
And
so it's, okay, got you. So it's not meth at all. It's like the reverse. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's meth. It makes you feel like a Superman without losing all your teeth and
losing all your teeth and the aging process. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And by the way, you have a set of teeth, my friend.
Thank you. Bam. Thank you. I'm a dealer. I don't use my own supply. I always.
Yeah, that's the way. That's the best way. Best way to be.
Okay. So we started talking about the comic. I'll put down the back burner. We'll get into that some more as well. But you're on a horror show. What got you into horror? Like why? Like, why are you into it?
Oh, man. So, do you believe? Let's get this out of the way. Do you believe Jaws is a horror movie?
Well, I was horrified by it. Yes, it terrified me. Yes.
So
I do.
Yeah, I think it meets that criteria, right, Jaws? So the first movie I ever barely remember seeing at the theater. My mother, and her infinite wisdom, took me to see Jaws when I was like 6 or 7. 6, I think. We're in the theater. It's storming outside.
Okay.
And the dana. This is locked in my brain. No wonder I'm tortured soul. Dana, and then the power went out in the theater.
Oh, okay.
And they had, but I remember that's the first memory of a movie that I ever is that. So that kind of stuck with me. And then, watching the early Friday the 13th, the 80s horror, man, was rad.
With the slashers.
You go to the video store and they had a whole wall just sectioned off for slasher movies and Nightmare on Elm Street and April Fool's Day and all those movies, man, back in the day were just awesome, man. So, and that's, I've been in love with it. I love the old classic horror movies too. I love Lon Chaney.
Oh,
I love the Frankenstein. I love the Hammer. series of British horror, man, from the 70s
Mm-hmm.
is just amazing, you know. And it's like there's so many sub genres of horror that, you know, you can be funny, you can be like slasher, you can be like
Mm-hmm.
supernatural, monster.
And you
And it's
can
just
make
like I think
and you can turn slashers into
yeah.
comedy too. I mean, that's what they did with the
Oh,
leprechaun.
that's you know,
That's what they did with Leprechaun.
well
Chucky.
you can forgive a lot more gore and violence if there's a laugh behind it.
Yes.
You know, it
Yes.
makes you less uncomfortable, you know, if you
Mhm.
see that. So I'm not, you know, I like the saws and stuff. I wasn't too down with torture horror. That's not really
Yeah.
my bag,
Like
you
what about
know.
Hostel?
But I like hostels. Yeah, I think those are kind of overrated to me. It's just violence for violence sake. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
really down with. But I got to admit, the first Saw was pretty good. You remember the villain? You know, spoilers. If you haven't seen Saw by now, you know I don't know what's
Yeah,
up
I've
with you.
seen it, of course.
But yeah, so it's like the guy was in the floor the whole time with his
Yeah, Jigsaw
captive.
was
You didn't
right
know it was
there.
him.
Yeah.
I got a tea in my hand, and he stood up at the end, and I was like, I almost dropped my tea, man. So that was a pretty good reveal. But then they just kind of copied it over and over after that, and there was
Yeah,
nothing original
it was a
with that
good
series anymore.
premise to work with. They just kept on rebooting the same thing. Like Saw 2, I was along for the ride then. Saw 3, I was there,
Yeah.
but I was like, man, I hope you guys aren't just doing what I think you're going to end up doing, just kind of keeping this thing afloat.
Yeah.
And then it just got
Yeah.
ridiculous. It just got, because I think Saw 2 is the one where they had the pit of needles, right? I think that's the one where they had the
Yeah.
guy had the number on the back of his neck and he had to cut the. I was like, okay, that stuff is hardcore. This game, this Jigsaw guy, these games that they're playing, oh shit, he's fucking serious. Okay. But then,
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
yeah, I've seen some of them one time, but I mean, kind of like what makes a classic horror movie though? What's a movie that you watch over and over again? To me, that's the successful movie.
mm-hmm.
If you want to watch it again, you know, and again, that's a good movie. You know, I think, and like I told you, I just watched all the Insidious. Me and my girlfriend watched the Insidious series, and you know, there's some tropes in there. The first two, I think James Wan is the director of that. The first two had some serious good scares because they were actually he knew horror because he ties it into things that we fear, you know, instead of just like the random jumps. You know, you get into like The Nun, like from the Conjuring series. The first Conjuring was good. Then you have Annabelle, and then you have The Nun, are just not good movies. It's like
I pretty much gave up on
spent a lot of money on Conjuring, and then they just kind of like spent a lot of money in marketing the other ones, and it's just nonsensical jump scares, like being on a roller coaster ride or amusement park ride. Like that's not horror to me.
Right.
Horror is like good sex.
Okay.
You build the tension slow, you keep the tension as long as possible, and you don't want the audience to blow their load yet. So, and modern horror has forgotten that. It's like jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. Somebody walking by. So it's just constantly to the point where like there's no tension. Every time you do that, you deflate the balloon a little bit. And good horror wants you to pop the balloon at the end of the movie, right? And like, oh my god, you know, and you've had all this tension
build up to it, you know. Yeah,
you know, slow atmospheric build. You know, there's some decent horror movies out, but I just think people have forgotten what's like real scary movies are. You know, corporations want to make money, studios want to make money,
of course,
and that's good too. And they do. Horror movies make a lot of money. I think the Paranormal Experience movies or whatever were shot for like $15,000, the price of a used car, and I think they've gone on to make like almost $1 billion.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, in those movies, man, like I like a lot of horror, but I mean, I said it before, the Paranormal Activity series, that stuff. I mean, this comes from somebody who likes B-rated horror, but the paranormal stuff, I'm like, guys, it looks kind of cheap, man. But I say this also at the same time, I gotta say that the first time I watched Paranormal Activity, I turned to my wife. I was like, we could have made this movie. We could have fucking made this movie.
You could have. You could have. You know? I mean, it's basically like what the Blair Witch did. The Blair Witch was it's marketing. It was all marketing, and then it was, you know, they started the found footage genre, the shaky camera. Like, you know, they're looking to a camera crying and stuff. And it's like it's easy and cheap to shoot. But to me, that's boring though. I like a real movie.
Yeah.
With a real story, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and characters that you care about, built up. So
because when I watch a movie like that, I'm like, they're not gonna show anything, and if they do, it's gonna be some dude in a suit. It's gonna look so cheap or so stupid. It's like, come on, man, that's obviously fake. Even when the marketing came out,
well,
I didn't buy into
I don't know if you should show. Do you believe they should show? Like, I think when I see a CGI monster or whatever, it's all gone then.
Yeah, I think they shouldn't show. I think it's better to not show the monster unless like something like Alien, where okay, the monster looks good. It's not gonna take you out from it. It actually belongs in the environment. It looks real. Okay, that's fine. But
he was in shadows.
Yeah.
He was in shadows and he was moving down slow from the ceiling and stuff. It was like, it was done well. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't bland. Like the Nun movies are like, oh, she's just right there. I mean, did you freeze up on me?
No, I didn't freeze up. It looked
good
like
old Skype.
It looked like the Skype froze out for a second. Okay, there we go.
You're back.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know what that was.
Skype's notorious.
Yeah.
Or it could be Ghost.
It could be. We're talking about the Nun, and she don't like that. Supposedly that's based off a real story.
So,
I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. But okay, so we'll get deeper into the problems of modern horror. I mean, I guess we're all kind of already here. But I guess we'll talk about the problems of modern horror and in comics and in board games. So yeah, let's go a little bit deeper here. I mean, what are the issues of modern horror? I mean, we're talking about cheap jump scares. We're talking about constant reboots. They can't come up with the original idea. They just have to reboot everything. There's gonna be another Halloween. There's gonna be if there wasn't tied into lawsuits and litigation, there would be other Friday the 13th. But I guess thank God for the litigation, so that can't happen. It's just they just reboot. They just freaking reboot. They do other ghost movies where they have like little jump scares. It's like you're on you're some sort of attraction ride, some sort of theme park. Maybe you're at some carny ride, and there's like all these like cardboard cutouts coming at you. It's just jump scares, man. It's cheap. I think that go ahead.
A lot of movies too have too much exposition, and so too much exposition. Like all good horror, short stories, literature, movies, in my humble opinion, they have an air of mystery to them. Mm-hmm. If you have a character come on the screen and say, the reason the nun is attacking people is that she was a part of a cult and they raised a demon and the nun came, and it's like, oh, you just told me I could go home now.
Right.
I don't need to watch the rest of the movie. A good movie or a good suspenseful movie or a horror movie delves out the mystery slowly and doesn't over explain things. And that's like, all bad movies, like The Nun had too much exposition, where characters come on the screen and they just talk about what's going on. Yesterday the monster attacked 2 people and the monster's actually got wings and is from the moon and it drinks blood at night and it wants, don't tell me all that. Mm-hmm. Let me discover it as I watch the movie. And so I think good horror, good storytelling, good screenplays, the audience is helping out. They're interacting with the movie as they watch it. Right. And I think that's why books are so much scarier, because your imagination is interacting with the book and your mind's doing a lot of the work. You're creating the imagery when you read a book. Mm-hmm. You can't do that with a movie, obviously, but you can choose not to over explain everything, where the audience has to be like, I can't miss anything because I'm learning as I'm watching this. Yeah, they're delving out the mystery.
It's better to show. Yeah. It's better for the movie to show you what's going on instead of just telling you. When you have characters just drop exposition, that's one reason why I got burned out of anime. I used to watch a lot of anime, but anime is nothing but exposition. Okay, let's explain about why things are all going on. I don't want that. Just show me the cool fucking robots. Just show me the cool stuff. I don't care about the story.
Well, it's cheaper to do it that way.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. Like, they don't have to do a bunch of stuff. One guy comes on there and tells you everything. Yeah. It's like, well, we got that out of the way.
Yeah, here's the history lesson.
Let's get back to jump scare.
Right? I mean, they kind of... Okay. I think of 80s slashers, they rode that line, I think, when it came to the original Halloween. They kind of explained that... Actually, the original Halloween kind of starts off immediately. You see some guy at a psych ward, and you see some guy jump. And they kind of don't really explain much of anything until later on when the killings are happening and the doctor starts explaining This is Michael. He's insane, or he's just darkness. I forgot how he phrased it. He's just pure darkness.
He's a trouble. Wait, well, John Carpenter did those, which John Carpenter said Michael Myers is a force of nature. He's a
Right.
force of evil, unexplainable. And then I saw you kind of like banging on the announcement that Rob Zombie is going to be making a Munsters movie. In like, I think you said, I hope they're not going to be white trash Munsters, which I thought's funny.
I did that because I was thinking of this remake of Halloween. It would be interesting. It would be funny.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, but
I think Rob Zombie has some. I think Rob Zombie works better when he's working outside of the studio system. When he makes like Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses,
okay,
3 from Hell. Those are all great. I thought those are great, like grindhouse movies, man. And like, but when he goes and makes a movie for the studios, I don't know if they're like holding him back or they're giving him terrible notes or they're making him, because they seem like they're always kind of like there's something wrong with those movies. Like I still like his Halloween movies, but I don't know. They didn't come off. I don't know. They didn't come off right to me. There's something missing from those movies.
they didn't come off right for you.
Do you agree? Yeah.
No,
I don't know.
I agree. Like, I think his better movies are the Devil's Rejects. I think I kind of like House of Thousand Corpses more than let's say his Halloween remake. But that's just me.
That was a studio movie too. But I think at the time they were like, just do whatever you want to. I don't know what's going to happen. And I think they almost didn't release that movie. I think because it was so bug nuts crazy.
All right.
Give
me 1 second and then make.
I think he's got talent.
Oh, he definitely does. Give me 1 second and then make a quick adjustment. It looks like the camera was capturing my beautiful mug. Just went away for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and fix that real fast. As I do, go ahead and plug your comic some more and kind of go in detail, kind of explain what it's about and what's going on.
Sure. So, right now, like I said, we launched Marcy Vice issue 1. Cal and I started doing comic books and did that, started Skull Dust Press to break into the comic book industry. And then it kind of took off. It kept me pretty busy. So we've had some good Indiegogo social fundraisers for issue 1. Issue 2 is going really well. So we'll finish out that 5 issue. Is back to horror. You have no hair, man. What's up?
Oh, yeah, I have no hair. I'm just.
That's cool.
I'm just a skull, man. Oh wait, yeah, there you go.
Is the mask hot? Is it hard to do it in the mask or?
No, it's fine. It's fine in the mask. The mask is great.
Okay, it looks rad. It's cool. Yeah. Very appropriate. So the next thing I'm going to go into, and I want to touch a little bit real fast before we get to that. Like the problem with modern horror movies is a problem, but there's a lot of great horror literature out right now, a lot of good authors, and I think there's actually you could say there's a golden age of prose right now in the horror and supernatural realm. I'm digging. I want to give a shout out to I'm digging Joe Hill, Ramsey Campbell. If you've never read The Companion, you should check that out. It's great writer. Joe R. Lansdale. He did Bubba Hotep. He's a great writer, man. One of my favorites. Laird Barron, Caitlin Kiernan. I just got this book recently called The Hunger.
Okay.
And it's by Alma Katsu. And if you ever check The Hunger out, it's kind of a play on the Donner Party.
Cool.
And it is scary, man. She's a great writer. So highly recommend. I just want to give a shout out to that community because they're doing great things, and they should let those guys write more screenplays.
Oh, definitely.
So,
see, and that's how Hollywood could.
Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Skeletor?
Yes, I'm totally with you here.
I think you froze up a little bit.
No, like I'm good. Like we didn't freeze up.
That's okay. I have a beer. I have a nice beverage.
No, we're good. We're good. This guy didn't freeze up. Okay. Anyway. Okay, but you can't hear me though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. As far as that goes, like indie horror, as far as the literature goes, yeah, great stuff coming out now. I really think if Hollywood really cared about quality, they would be looking into that content for
Skype. Oh, you froze up a little bit. You're fine. You're back.
Okay.
You're back.
But
yeah.
All right. It killed my flow real fast. Okay, let me just turn this.
Okay.
I'll turn my video part off. There you go. There you go. Okay. So
Okay.
anyway, I was saying is that there's plenty of good content out there that these studios, they could be using that if they really wanted to, but it's just, come on, man. They just, instead of doing that, they just want to reboot everything. It's like, why are you doing that? I mean, these franchises are pretty much being milked to death. There's nothing to it. I mean, do you?
Yeah.
I mean, really don't want to see any more
business
Halloweens or whatever, but
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do. I'd like to see something different. I'd like to see somebody be given the reins, like some of these awesome prose writers, like more invited. Like Stephen King obviously gets to write a lot of screenplays, but I want to see the people who's making the good horror right now. I want to see them write some screenplays and give them the keys to the Ferrari at the studios. Because like you said, they just keep rebooting stuff over and over again. And it's just like carbon copies of stuff we've already seen.
Mm-hmm.
So, every once in a while, something will sneak out. Did you see Hereditary?
I did.
Did you ever get a chance to watch?
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Oh, yeah. That scene when the mom freaks out because the girl got decapitated. Oh, shit. That scene there.
You went to the quiet zone.
Oh, you can't hear me?
You there, man?
No, okay. I think there might be something wrong with our connection here because I'm talking and you're not. I can hear you just fine.
Did the nun get you? You there? Okay.
No.
That's why I switched over to Zoom recently. Zoom's a little better than.
No, I use Skype quite a bit. I haven't really had an issue. No, let me try to call you. I don't know why it's cutting out like this. Okay. All right, but you're
fine now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyway. So that's kind of sort of killed the flow, though. All right,
that's cool. No, we're talking about just like I wish some of these badass horror, prose writers would be given some keys to make a movie and write a screenplay, and maybe they are. I know, like Joe Hill's writing a few graphic novels that got turned into TV series, but I don't know if people are actually getting for some reason. A lot of times they don't let the author of the base material write the actual screenplay. I don't know why.
Yeah, but Lock and Key. Lock and Key was made into a Netflix special, and that was a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because they feel like they can't do it.
Recently, there's some good. Like, did you watch the new Creepshow series by Greg Nicotero?
That one
I
did.
Think it's on Shudder and the AMC. It's really good. It's based on the old Creepshow. There's a comic book and also a movie back in the 80s, I think by Stephen King. But it's kind of a serial kind of horror, old school pulp kind of storytelling. It's good, man. They're going to do a season 3. I think they're doing season 2 is about to drop pretty soon. So Brian Whitten and Greg Nicotero's company, they're rocking that out over on Shudder, man. And Brian's a good dude. And Greg Nicotero did Walking Dead. So yeah, Creepshow. It's a really good show.
Yeah, I got to check out the new Creepshow for sure. So I'll definitely do that. Okay. Season
1 was bad, but yeah, dude. So the next you asked about the next comic book we're gonna do. So it's like I told you, I'm a big fan of the classic movie monsters, and I've got a kind of an idea play on. We're doing the first issue now. It's called The Forbidden Museum of Henry Harker. So go back to the time of Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula, you have Jonathan Harker, and Van Helsing, and Mina Harker all fighting Dracula, and they finally capture him. The end of Dracula, and little known, they don't kill Dracula at the end of Dracula, the novel. He's trapped. They trap him in his coffin. So the comic book starts out with them trapping Dracula, and then they're like, well, there's more evil in the world than just Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
There's Frankenstein's monster. There's all these other classic archetypes of monsters out there and evil in the world. So Jonathan Harker builds the Forbidden Museum, which is miles below the British Museum in London. And he builds this room just to house all this evil. And he traps it in there. And so you flash forward to modern day, and his great-great-grandson, Henry Harker, has been searching. He's a blogger, video blogger for like shows like Vice and stuff, and he's been searching for his grandfather's museum, not knowing this place is cursed
Oh, cool.
with Egyptian magic.
Okay.
And his partner double crossed him when they finally find the museum and traps him in a sarcophagus and steals all the museum's contents and sells them on the black market. And now Henry Harker, the grandson of Jonathan Harker, becomes the museum's cursed curator and must seek out all these items and return them to their place before the curse is broken. And through the course of the series, he's slowly rotting and turning to nothing and he's using Egyptian magic to keep himself alive as he hunts down all these items. And then you're going to encounter, our version of Dracula, our version of Frankenstein's monster, our version of the Wolfman, as he goes and hunts all these things down. And so I kind of imagine like an adventure story across the globe with the classic archetypical monsters that we all love. So, and kind of, I guess the lead guy is kind of a mix of the Mummy and the Invisible Man in a way. But so we got a great team. So I just got the copyright back for that today, matter of fact, and we're finishing up the first issue. We're going to do a Kickstarter in a couple of months and hopefully get this out around Halloween. But I got some awesome artists attached to it. I think Terry Wolfinger is going to do a cover for us, and Terry Wolfinger does
that looks
monsters.
That looks fantastic. Yeah. Okay, that looks awesome.
He actually worked as a creature designer for Stan Winston. If you go to look up Terry Wolfinger on Google him and go to his shop, man, and his prints. I was a big fan before I ever started working with the guy. So he's going to do a cover for us.
Terry Wolfinger's doing the cover. It's going to look sick.
Yeah, he's doing the cover. A friend of mine named Luke Archie, he did a Rifleman comic book with me. The Rifleman's an old Western TV show from the 50s. We got hired by the producers to do a comic book for them for a while, and then we worked together so well, and we're big monster fans. We got together to do this comic, and he's in his third year at the Hubert School of Comic Book Art, and he's about to graduate. So this will be his first big project coming out of the school. And this kid, man, seems like the god of like black and white inks and horror comics and stuff like that. And that's a bold statement, but I think Luke, when he gets some seasoning on him and gets some professional work under his belt, he's going to be a big dog in the industry. So yeah, man, it's going to be an exciting book, and it's my dream comic to write. So
it sounds like a dream comic to write for a horror fan. I mean, we're talking about something. It builds off of the Dracula mythos. That's great. That's so cool, and you have a great team to make it happen.
Oh man, I'm even we're gonna go. You're gonna go to the Amazon and hunt for the eggs of the Gill god. You're gonna go, fight the Wolfman and like all this stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be a blast, man. And finally, I get to kind of put my 2 cents into the classic monster like verse. So yeah, it's gonna have a little old school vibe to it, but also a modern take.
What is the name of this comic?
So, man, check it out. So and definitely go to my Instagram, C Sawyer Writer. And I'm on Twitter, the same handle too, and just follow us, and you can keep up with everything going on that we launch in the next few months.
Okay, and
and I'm sure you'll put links to everything.
Yeah, what's the name of the comic?
It's called the Forbidden Museum.
Forbidden Museum
of Henry Harker.
Okay.
Our Forbidden Museum. Yeah.
Cool. And now you mentioned that it's going to have our version of Frankenstein's monster, our version of Dracula, of the Wolfman. What is that going to look like? Like, how's that different from the classical version?
I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm not understanding what. Okay, can you hear me now?
You there?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, this is. I never had this issue. I never had. Okay, I use Skype quite a bit. Okay, but I was saying, well, what's different between the classical version of these monsters and the modern version in your comic?
I think the main thing is like the story was never told through a monster, and this time it will be. the lead protagonist is a monster. And you know, I mean, you could say, I don't know, like the Wolfman was kind of done that way, but some other ones were kind of just highlighted that way. But I think it's going to have more. I think the problem with the reboots more, it's more like the older movies, I think, than the reboots recently. I think the reboots recently, I think the old monsters had a sadness to them where you felt for them like they were trapped in a curse. Like the Wolfman would turn into this murderous monster and kill the one he loved. Dracula sought a lost love. You know, a lot of those monsters had like this unrequited love thing going on, and you felt sorry for them. Where like the reboots, you kind of like they're all superheroes, kind of. You know, Dracula Untold, The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think they captured the spirit of the old movies. And what I'm hoping to do with Forbidden Museum is capture the spirit of the old movies, but with a modern twist, but keep that intact.
Well, I mean, you could definitely do it. I mean, what Universal's doing with their own Universal monsters, I think is pretty sad.
Well, I heard they're gonna make a comedy. You know, I don't know. It's like they can't get it together. Like they can't get their vision that they want for these. I don't know. What did you think about the Del Toro, Benicio Del Toro Wolfman? Did you like that?
Yeah, that was good. Like that.
I thought it was pretty good. But I don't know. There's something about, like I said, too much CGI too. Like in Dracula Untold. Yeah. I mean, a lot of work went into those movies too. I don't want to disparage the people who worked on those movies, but I just feel like all the thousands of bats and the CGI and the over the top stuff, I think it kind of takes away from the humanity. I think a lot of times the reason the monsters, the Wolfman, look so sad and Bela Lugosi looks so sad is they were trapped into this makeup.
Yeah.
This painful makeup too kind of gave them this kind of like atmospheric vibe to them too. But
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. Like I said, I went back to my earlier statement. You know, what makes a good horror movie? I think all good horror movies and genre movies are dramas, and you've got to have that. You've got to care about the characters and what they're going through.
Like you can't take the Mummy and turn it into an action flick with a Tom Cruise. It just looks like Mission Impossible, but with the Mummy. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, and I know where they cast Tom Cruise. They cast him because he's a big box office star, but then you're just seeing like Tom Cruise.
Right.
It's a Tom Cruise movie. It's not a money movie. Where like that was what, like I told you, what was great about Iron Man when they cast Robert Downey Jr. There was no expectations of Robert Downey Jr. You went to see Iron Man, not Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
And I think when you're spawning a universe like that, it needs to be about that world. Like the first Star Wars, you didn't know any of those people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were practically unknown. So you're not taken away from the world you're in.
Right.
Like if I go in a movie, I see Tom Cruise, I'm like, I don't even know what the character's name is half the time in a Tom Cruise movie. I just there's Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah. And so, and I don't know, they try to cast, like I think they cast Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man in that failed attempt to reboot the Dark Universal Monsters universe. I think they cast Russell Crowe as Jekyll and Hyde, which I didn't think Jekyll and Hyde was even in the original Universal Monsters universe. But
I think he's part of it now. Wrong. I think they consider him part of it. But someone asked in the chat. Someone asked in the chat, because we're talking about comics earlier. Do you know who Ethan Van Skyver is?
Yes, I do. God, why is it so familiar? I think I was just looking at something of it. He's a writer, right?
Yeah, a comic book guy. He does the Frog comic, Comicsgate.
Oh yeah. He did like a massive fundraising campaign for his last comic. He did like lots of money. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
Cyber Frog, right?
Yeah.
Cyber Frog. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts about him, or you care not to say? Because I know sometimes that's drama stuff.
There was some controversy about him, right?
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
I try not to get caught up in the drama. I try to stay busy.
That's good.
Making my own stuff.
It's better to be busy.
All I know from Ethan Skyver, you know, is like I don't know him well enough to comment on him. Is that he had a huge Kickstarter
Yeah,
and raised a lot of money for his comic book. So
he
somebody
did.
liked the guy
Oh yeah,
at one time.
he has a huge following. They like what he's putting out, and sometimes people get jealous
I
of
don't know.
that.
Some people are polarizing. I don't know. You got to. We live in an odd time where you got to be very careful what you say, or don't give a damn what you say. One of those
Right.
two. It's somewhere in between. I'm somewhere in between, man. I try to like. I want everybody to do well and
Hmm.
succeed. And you know, being a creator is so hard, and make something that resonates with the public is super hard as well. But you know, same way out there. If anybody's starting to make comic books or has questions for me, I'm good like that, man. Hit me up. I'll answer any questions, and tell you any roadblocks that I got through, and maybe I can save you from having to go through them.
All right,
So
sounds good.
yeah, always text me. Yeah.
Now the other
So
thing you're into as well are board games, and we're talking board games. We're not talking like Mousetrap or Monopoly. We're talking like serious like workshop board
Monopoly.
games.
I used to kick my grandmother's ass in Uno quite frequently when I was growing up.
And Uno? Oh
But
shit.
yeah, dude, like board games now have evolved to crazy proportions. Like Dungeons and Dragons is massive now.
Mhm.
Uh, Before COVID hit, me and my board game partners from Sentient Cow Games, that's our board game company. You can Google us. Sentient Cow Games, Sentient Cow Games, however you
City
want to
Cow
pronounce it.
games.
Uh, yeah, and we after we kickstarted, we went to like over 30 gaming conventions, and that community is pretty awesome. I made a lot of lifelong friends in that community. We went across the United States demoing our game Escape from Dulce. So, and it was a good experience, man. Like our game is kind of a combination of an RPG role playing game like D&D, but on a
Okay.
board. And it's good, man. You level up like a video game or a good RPG. You have your own file folders, and you're basically either a mutant alien or a human, abducted human, like Amelia Earhart got abducted by aliens in our world, or
Okay.
you're a Toy Hanzo,
Is that
a
what happened
Sam,
to
a
her? She just
500.
got abducted by aliens, huh? Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
and you can also play as a two-headed mutant cow
Uh,
uh, that you can milk for healing milk. We have a very like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy
okay.
sense of humor about our game too. And like so, you're playing these odd characters in a co-op game, and you're trying to travel up this 3D board tower to freedom. And all the enemies are AI driven. You walk into a room, an encounter card tells you what enemies show up,
Okay.
how they attack you, who they chase, and there's no games master. Nobody needs to run the game. The game runs itself.
Okay. That's sweet. That's good.
So, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of laughs in the game too. There's a lot of items in it, like weird stuff. Like you get Elvis's jumpsuit, and just
Okay.
weird stuff.
All right. What
You
sort
can
of
get a Sasquatch.
what sort of
Yeah,
attributes do you get for Elvis's jumpsuit?
I think he gives you karate action +1,
Of course. Okay.
and you look great too. Maybe the sequins blind you. I forgot, but you can get like a Mothman companion, or it's cryptid lore falls into this game too. And yeah, dude, it's a blast, man. We're gonna go. So Secret Unknown Stuff is our universe.
Okay.
Escape from Dulce is the first big box games.
Escape from
We're going to do a
Dulce.
trilogy of games.
I feel like there's more you could
And
tell us about
so
Escape from
with
Dulce.
expansions kind of orbiting around those big box games. So in the first one, you escape from Dulce base, New Mexico. It's an underground military base. Second one, you go to the moon to blow it up.
Of
In the
course, why
second
not?
game,
Got to blow up the
to
moon.
stop an alien invasion,
All
as you
right.
do. And then in the third one, you get lost in time and have to do this. So all these games are almost like a movie trilogy, and you can take the same characters through each world and each big box games and all these expansions, and it's a lot of fun, man. I mean, we didn't really know what we were doing when we first started making this board game, and we just kind of winged it, and it turned out to be a great experience. And we sold out of our first print
Damn.
run.
Okay, yeah, that's gonna be my question.
So,
Is like, what's the feedback been like with this board game?
oh, dude, you can go to BGG. So, Board Game Geek is like the website people go to get ratings and feedback
Okay.
from games and put their 2 cents in. So, our rating after 3 years of being in the wild, man, is like over 8.1 right now to this day. So we got a great team that I call a great fan base.
Whoa, what happened there?
Camera bust. We got a great fan base. Earthquake called the Cow Army.
Okay.
That it's a great community. You can go to Facebook and join the Cow Army Facebook page, and you can find us on Facebook and join the Sentient Cow Facebook page too. And yeah, it's a fun game, man. It's a fun game to sit and hang with friends and shoot aliens. And
so it's an army of land cows. Is that what I'm hearing? I mean, so
what is that? Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
An army of heifers and land cows. Okay.
Yeah, man cows. Yeah, dude. Everybody loves cows. They make cheese and they give you ice cream and who doesn't love a cow?
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that there's you can modify a cow for it to heal you with its milk, so you can just drink its milk. And
at 5th level, you can get healing milk from its teats.
See, that sounds like some Earthworm Jim level stuff. That sounds crazy. I like it. it's so crazy.
And it's
wild.
A psychic cow.
A psychic cow at that. Okay.
It's a psychic cow.
So okay, now
and there's a cigar smoking alien in it. And you're fighting the big baddie, who's the man in black.
Okay.
And you don't really know who the man in black is. Is he an android? Is he a clone? What is the man in black? But he's come here to do harm to the Earth.
Okay.
So you got to stop him.
So I'm sort of on the outside when it comes to these board games things, but this stuff is popular. This stuff, like people eat this stuff up. They like
massive.
A lot.
Massive, dude. And Kickstarter and Indiegogo's really made this possible because before, if you're just a schmo with a good idea and some talent, you've got to sell it to a corporation. And, that's hard to do. So if you have a unique idea. So now Kickstarter's leveled the playing fields for creatives. And I can go on Kickstarter and I can ask the peoples, do you want a 2-headed cow that you can milk? And they said yes. They said yes. And boom, got a board game, man.
Okay.
And so, yeah, dude, it's gone well, dude. It's a good world, man. I've always wanted to create kind of a world like Star Wars, and this is kind of our world. Anything goes in the secret unknown stuff world. So shout outs to my partners on that, Chris Weller and Donna Ackerson. Couldn't do the board game world without you guys. And they're super talented graphic designers that work for a toy company out here, and they're good writers too, and just overall good people, man. I consider them, good friends too as well. We started as neighbors.
Oh, cool! Look at that.
It turned into a business. So, yeah, man. It was good.
With Escape from Dulce being, I guess involving a lot of conspiracies. Do you have a favorite conspiracy theory?
Ooh, I'd say the one. I got a lot, brother. You're opening. This is a whole nother show, my friend. You opened up.
Okay.
But I mean, I just read a great book, though. Have you ever read the Mothman Prophecies? I suggest you read that.
Okay.
And not the kind of cheesy Richard Gere movie. Just barely skimmed the surface of this book.
That's
the Mothman Prophecies.
About the Mothman, right? Yeah.
Yeah, about the Mothman. Who's kind of a winged doom prophecy monster that shows up. But there's a lot more to that story, man, that happened in that town. Just check it out. It's a really weird book. My newest conspiracy that I'm really is a great mystery is there's a series of books that this author writes called Missing 411. And this guy used to be an ex-police officer that discovered there's a lot of people going missing in national parks in the United States, like an abnormal amount of people. And he started breaking down criteria of who goes missing, age categories, the weather. And he come to find out there's a pattern to who goes missing and what time of day and what happens to the weather and all these things. And there's this huge amount of mysterious disappearances in these parks. And park officials are refusing to give lists of these people and cooperate very well. So, and these are places that don't have wild animals. I mean, people will definitely fall to the elements, hurt themselves in the parks, get attacked by a bear.
Yeah.
But he doesn't follow those cases. He rules those out immediately. Okay. And what's left is an abnormal amount of people going missing in state parks.
Okay. So what is he thinking that happens? Thinking like aliens or some shit?
Well, he's good not to give his ultimate reason because he wants people to kind of do the research, but he does have some hypotheses. And what I've learned about it too, which is unique, is like under all these red areas, these bursts of missing cases are right over huge cave systems too, which
Okay.
is strange. Maybe
So
coincidence.
so like crab people coming out from the caves, pulling people down.
Hey, my vote's for crab people, but is it
Somebody, something.
is it
Maybe
Bigfoot?
cannibals. I don't know.
Is it crazy people living in the state parks? Wild people? Like, I don't know what is it, man, but check it out. Missing 411. You can make up your own ideas, but it's a lot of weird. Like after these people go missing, there's always a change in the weather. They've found children over 3 mountain ranges, their body laying there unscathed, no marks, no visible signs of damage on their bodies, but they're dead and no reason why they're dead. They've put search parties out for missing people, only to find the body in the middle of the path back to home base camp.
Oh, oh, okay.
They find people's clothes with their shoes, their pants, their belt, their shirt, and their hat all laying flat on top of each other or
Well,
folded up neatly.
well, reptoids are very clean people. They're very organized. Like when they take you, they're gonna make sure your clothes are all folded up nice and neat and all that. Very respectful.
Well, Reptoids, that goes back to Dulce base too. If you want to get into the Reptoids, they're supposed to be in Dulce base. So I think all this ties in together, my friend.
It.
All this craziness
Oh
at
yeah.
some point.
That's
But anyways, whether it's true or not, I like to read crazy stuff because it all just gets the mind going for my insane imagination to write
Mhm.
more short stories, more screenplays, more comic books.
in
So
this
I kind of live in that world.
in those
Yeah.
board games you worked on, like the Escape from Dulce. Like how long did it take you to create that?
It took us about a year.
Okay.
It's only three of us, so
Okay.
it was just the perfect team. You had like I'm a writer. I've done marketing before. Well, Chris Weller and Donna were graphic designers, toy packaging designers that went over pricing sheets from China for manufacturing, so they could look at a pricing sheet. See, that's what people don't. People just say, "I want to make something. I want to make a plastic board game." Well, you got to do a costing sheet. You
Yeah.
got to know about tariffs. You got to know about all these taxes overseas. They've been doing that for years with the company they worked for. So it's just like we were sitting there one night talking about games, and it came up we should make one, and we just kind of clicked in our head. The light bulb went off that we have the perfect group of people to pull this off, and we did, and it's been fun, man.
That's cool.
So we're like a little rock and roll band
And
now.
this was, you said earlier, this is like your first board game. So like doing it, was there like some trial and error though? Did you have to learn like how to navigate this? Like how?
I think it was to our benefit in a way because we weren't huge modern board game nerds yet. And I think that saved us because I think if we were, we'd have been like, we can't do this.
Mm,
It's not because our game was so different than what was out there. It was 3D.
yeah.
It was sci-fi, where everybody was doing fantasy. It was AI. The enemies thought themselves an attack target. They did their own targeting, and it was just later on we look back on other games and said we kind of hit the nail on the head for rules or mechanics that other games already had we didn't even know about.
Hmm.
But we came up with something unique because I think of our ignorance, and I
Okay.
think sometimes ignorance is bliss and you succeed. Like I'd read a study one time that most research scientists make their biggest discoveries the first 2 years. They get their tenure the first 2 years they work for a corporation or whatever, or a company because they don't know any better. So the more you learn about what can't be done, the more you don't try. And I think when you don't know it's hard and impossible, you do it anyway.
Right.
And nothing's really possible. So, and that's the way I've tried to approach everything. I've tried to like learn what I can, but put your own spin on it. People want to see something new.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, were there some people be like, oh,
it takes a while to break through.
were there some players who be like, oh, this isn't how board games are supposed to be done. These rules don't make any sense. These guys don't know what they're doing. Did you ever get any of that?
Yeah, I think, there's a big thing, like there's Euro games and they call them Ameritrash games. And Ameritrash games are lots of dice rolling, dice chucking, a lot of luck with some technical. And Euro games are all tactical, all deep thought. What happens sometimes in our game is people will get it, and it's almost like if you go to a drama but you want a comedy, you're going to be like, that wasn't funny. So sometimes we get things like people just they don't know what to do with our game yet because it was so weird. I mean, first of all, the name was Escape from Dulce.
Okay.
I mean, that's I told my friends, I was like, at first people won't understand it. It won't fit anywhere. But, go back to like things like Star Wars,
Hmm.
you know, anything new or kind of innovative or different will always be met with skepticism first. So I knew people wouldn't get it at first, but those are the things that become classics though. I think I read a story that George Lucas took Star Wars to every studio in town because they're like, let me get this straight. There's a giant dog with a gun, and they're flying in a spaceship, and there's annoying like droid robots with British accents, and there's people fighting with swords made of lasers. Yeah, I mean, could you think how weird that was
Right,
when
right.
you
Can you try
first
to
pitched
imagine trying to
that?
pitch Star Wars for the first time? Like, no one would want that. Like, what
Yeah,
are you talking about? It doesn't make any
and there's a
sense.
guy with a big black helmet on and a cape.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on, man? And now we take all those things for granted. It's like, of course, it's made $1 billion. It's genius.
Yep.
But all those things at first were like weird, and nobody wanted to touch them with a 10-foot pole. And then you become the decider later on now.
Uh huh.
If you stick with your vision, if you have a unique vision, stick with it. If you just copy people, you'll just be a copy
Hmm.
and you'll fade off into obscurity
And you
at
just
some
be
point.
regurgitating the
Not
same
saying our
stuff
stuff,
over and over again.
yeah, not saying our stuff is Star Wars or anything, but just my point being, if you have a unique idea you believe in, keep trucking. It takes a long time to beat that into this public consciousness of a new idea. It takes a while,
And
you know,
and through you.
and everybody will tell you to quit and stop, and you're wasting your
Yeah.
time, no matter what you do, either for your own good. How many times, like, why you want to do that? You can never be Stephen King. You can never be this. Well, somebody told Stephen King that.
Hmm.
You can never be Edgar Allan Poe or whatever you want to, whoever you want to be. Everybody tells you can't be that person until you make all that money, and they're like, "Oh, I always knew you could do it,"
And
or whatever.
and going the indie route,
So
using Indiegogo or some other platform to raise funds, that allows you to do that. And for those that are listening, that are like
yeah,
maybe comic book guys or whatever, they want to do their own campaign. Do you have any advice for them about how to do a successful Indiegogo campaign or Kickstarter campaign or whatever it is?
yeah, like the old the Art of War. You heard the Art of War by Sun Tzu? He was a
Hmm.
Chinese war tactician, philosopher general. Never start a fight you can't win. That is the lesson, Daniel San, because if you need $2,000, you need $5,000. Figure out exactly what your budget needs to make this thing. Have that amount of people in your hip pocket before you even start, or at least hope like somewhere along that. Like I started a campaign with as many emails as I collect. Marketing, pre-marketing is super important, especially if you're a nobody. Your second, third, fourth, fifth Kickstarter or Indiegogo is a lot easier. Your first one's always the bitch.
Yeah.
The first ones will be the one where people don't know who you are, don't know your product, don't care
Hmm.
who you are, and you're unproven. So
Hmm.
you've got to do at least 6 months to a year of marketing. Got to do shows like this. People need to know. We live in an age where people want to know you, and see you and talk to you. And you've got to do things like this. You've got to go in and talk to people and be on social media and just put yourself out there and show your passion. Like you can feel my passion for horror and storytelling and board games. And like, I want to entertain people. I want you to take you on a journey. Uh, and this is, and you got to dedicate yourself to it, but do your homework, get those emails, do your marketing, and know you're going to have 100 backers on the first day.
Hmm.
Know that. feel good about it. Get to the point where people are saying, "Are you going to launch that thing? Like, when are you going to launch it?" When you start hearing things like that, you know you're ready to do it.
Right.
And but don't take forever.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually do it, but just do your homework.
And there's something you said
everything
about
lined up.
emailing.
It depends if you're a board game. Have the board game almost finished. Know who your manufacturer is. Be able to answer all those questions when people say, "Hey, I'm giving you my hard-earned money. How do I know you're going to put something physical in my hand?" Well, matter of fact, here's our manufacturer. Here's our prototype. Here's our play testing. Here's testimonial videos. Here's reviews. And have an answer for all these questions, because people are giving you their money, and they want to know that it's being taken care of, and you're going to get something in return.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. when you launched your first Kickstarter campaign, when you launched your first Indiegogo campaign, you already had an idea of who you're going to email and who you're going to reach out for marketing?
What was that? Kind of broke up.
Okay. When you started your first Indiegogo campaign, you already had an idea of who you were going to email and to kind of reach out for marketing, right? Is that right?
Yeah, we did Facebook ads, we did marketing ads, we did reviews.
Okay.
We made our own prototype of the game. We made videos of us playing it. We went and did the kissing babies and the shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
And like at the conventions, we showed up at conventions and like play tested and met people and got their emails and like gave them stickers and like gave them business cards. And like it took a while, man. I mean, that second Kickstarter will be easier because you're bringing all the first group of people on board with you to the next one. But that first one, I'd say 50% of the time, first time Kickstarters, first time Indiegogos fail the first time. Mm-hmm. Our board game failed the first time. Our Kickstarter did. Okay. And it was because we didn't know how much money to ask. Like we didn't have our money right. Mm-hmm. As far as like, because in Kickstarter, you've got to ask for a certain amount of money to get that money. Right. Where Indiegogo, every dollar you put in, you get to keep towards that, making that product. But like Kickstarter, you got to say, well, I need $50,000 to make this. Or in like, you got to know how much you're asking for each game. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have enough money to make the product and you don't get it out on time, or you don't have the manufacturer set up and the people don't get their stuff, you've ruined your good name.
Yes.
And then the next one, and so the best thing to be very transparent with your backers too, and be vocal about what's going on. It's like if something happens that you didn't expect, you tell them that.
Right.
And,
okay.
We knew pretty fast that first Kickstarter wasn't going to work, but we saw it all the way through to the end, and that was a good thing to do, and it was a good learning experience. And so, yeah.
Okay, now I mean, the game looks good. I'm looking at the artwork for it. Now, what does the game play like?
As far as like, so you're a group, you're a team of people, okay, mutants, aliens, humans, and you walk into a room. You have a stack of encounter cards. You flip them over. The alarm is a big factor. The alarm goes up a click every time you walk into a room, and the alarm will go from green, yellow to red.
Okay.
And the more the alarm goes up, the more enemies will spawn in the room.
Oh.
And the harder it gets. So you're finding, there's a little heat on your back through this. So a little tension, the building of tension. We go back to that. But then you find items like key cards. Some characters can lower the alarms. You're trying to get the alarm low, and then the card has a description on it, like a games master or a book would talk to, or a video game. You walk into a room. There's a skeleton in the middle of the room with a spear sticking through his rib cage. Is this a trap? 2 lizardmen spawn in the room. So you go get the pieces, you put them in the room. And in our game, I thought it would be boring. We thought it would be boring to have the same type of creatures. So there's 7 different variations of each individual enemy.
Okay.
All with different attacks.
Oh, that's
all
good.
With different motivations and targets.
Yeah.
And so you roll initiative, you put all your people on a combat tracker. So you know who goes first, second, and third. And then you roll big red dice under your stats to be successful to hit. And you can raise your stat abilities as you level up and kill enemies and get more powerful as you go through the game.
Okay.
And so every game is different. Some cards have traps on them. Some cards have more enemies on them. And so the game is like, even though it's a board game, it feels like it's an open world almost.
Okay.
And you get new items, laser guns, laser swords, all sorts of different armor and weird items, healing kits as you go up. So yeah, it's a good fun game, man, for like 2 to 6 people.
It sounds
Yeah,
pretty
for
fun.
sure.
I mean, definitely sounds like something I would definitely have to check out. Seems pretty cool. I'll go to watch some videos of you playing it. Definitely.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of videos on YouTube.
and one other question
Going
in
on
the
right
chat
now.
here. One other question in the chat is, now, does this game company thing, does it provide you a living or is it a side gig?
Well, the first one we raised over what we were asking for, so we made decent money for the second Kickstarter that was successful, and it paid off. We made a little extra money, but not enough to live off of at the time. It paid. We didn't go in the negatives like a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
So it paid for all our manufacturing, and we had a little more to put into like the next thing. But right now, for your first Kickstarter, unless you make $1 million, you're going to be putting, just the freight to get it from China on a boat to get it here was $16,000. Just the freight to get it here.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with tariffs, you're dealing with oil prices rising and lowering. So you always try to factor in a little more than that. So we were so afraid that any little bit of profit we made, we put back and saved it just for the company in case we needed it. But it wasn't a huge amount. Now, hopefully going into the second Kickstarter with all this more of a name recognition, we've proved ourselves. We have more of a fan base. It'll be a bigger Kickstarter because some Kickstarters have made a lot of money, a whole lot of money. So, but it's for the company. It'll go back. I want to make this trilogy of games and get them out. So that's our plan, to at least finish those trilogy of games.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, my last question for you, I asked this question for everyone. I don't know if I asked earlier, but what is your favorite horror movie and why?
Oh, wow. That's a hard question, my friend. Like, I like different horror movies for different reasons. What is my favorite horror movie? Wow. If I just had to pick something, it would be a mix between, if I go classic, you got to at least give me that. Classic, I like The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's good, yeah.
Is one of my favorite classic movies. If we go more modern, and then you get into like, what's my favorite scariest movie? Like I think Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman's a brilliant movie, but it's not really scary.
No, yeah.
But it's technically a horror movie. But I think it's a watchable. I've watched it a lot. It's a watchable movie. But I got to go with like maybe either The Shining, as far as a scary movie, between The Shining and The Thing.
The Thing,
is right up there.
Yeah, The Thing is really good.
And the first Alien, man. See, it's hard, man. It's hard. It's a hard question.
Hey, that just shows you know the genre very well. Alien's really good. The Thing's really good. Shining's good, even though King didn't care for it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I thought, come on, Steven. You got to admit, Stanley Kubrick kicked ass with The Shining. That is it's not the book, but it is a good movie. I think he did justice. That's one of the better Stephen King adaptations, I think.
Yeah, Stephen King adaptations, they have,
so
there's some winners there, but there's a lot of misses.
Hey, you're not off the hook. What's your favorite?
Man, my favorite horror movie, it's the one I go to a lot is Halloween, like the original. There's a personal connection with that one.
I like John Carpenter.
Yeah, it was my first horror movie to really watch. I walked into the room, my mom was watching it, and she's like, "Yeah, you can come and watch this." And I just remember that movie just terrifying me. Like, it was weird. Just even the side of the pumpkin was like a thing. I don't know why. I don't know. It's weird. It was just a little kid.
You know, me and my girlfriend, last Halloween, we went to the house,
Oh, no way.
to Michael Myers' family house. It's in the valley,
Oh, cool.
not too far, and it was pretty rad. We got there, and a guy dressed as Michael Myers was walking down the sidewalk, and I got a good video of him. But it was cool. But this house now is like in this really industrial part of town now, right in front of like the railroad tracks, right in front. I don't know if that's always been that way, but it's like this little Michael Myers house is there. But it was pretty cool for sure.
So and there was a guy dressed up as Michael Myers outside the house.
Go ahead.
So you had a guy. There was a guy out there dressed up as Michael Myers outside his own home, or out.
I can't hear you.
Huh? Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? I don't know.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. I hear. It sounds like Skype is like cutting in and out on this side. I'm not sure what's going on. Skype. I don't know. It's weird. There's no indication on my side that it's like cutting in and out either. It's weird. But yeah, I was just gonna say that it just sounds pretty cool to check out that house. But of course, you have some people like pretending to be Michael Myers outside and all that. Man, that'd be kind of scary. like what if that person's like off his freaking meds and actually takes it for real? I don't go stab some people.
Let's see, he's a method actor.
Yeah.
You know, the mask, the Michael mask was just some throwaway mask they had of William Shatner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was they flipped it inside out and just painted it white.
Yep.
It's just so funny, these like random no thought choices.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody's worried about, I need to do this exactly this way, or like what's people scared of. Like they just randomly chose his mask, just like the hockey mask in Jason. I think the first AD played hockey, and they just had the mask in his trunk or something.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes you just got to do it live. You just have to do it in the moment, and what you have, hey, there you go. You know,
necessity is the mother of invention.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
Craig Sawyer, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your love for horror, your comic book, the game, the board game you're working on, and yeah, sure. I hope to hear from you later on. Hopefully Skype will work better, or maybe we'll use something else. We'll see.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I'd love to come on and talk about the Forbidden Museum, man. We'll get that up and running.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, with that said, you guys, ladies, y'all take it easy. You have a good one.